I'm Chef Mary Fabrikant at the Johnson & Wales Denver campus, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a classic consomme. Consomme translates into English as consummate or perfect. This is the perfect clarified stock. So first I'm going to show you what we're working with and then how to work with it. All right, in this bowl I have already cut up 1 onion, 2 carrots, and a celery root. These pieces are between 1/4 and 1/2 inch cubes. They don't have to be cubes, it can be a rough chop, but they can't be large. So this is your mirepoix for this, but you need them to be a relatively small size. I've got 3 small sprigs of thyme, I've got 2 bay leaves, and I have several parsley stems. These all contribute flavor to the stock. And then in the bottom, you can't see them, but I have 6 peppercorns. So I'm going to put them into a larger bowl. Next, I'm going to add a tomato product. This can be tomato paste. This right here is whole peeled tomatoes with a little bit of juice. I just want the tomato flavor and I want the acidity that a tomato product brings. That will help the egg whites clarify, solidify and clarify the stock. Alright, so I'm first going to coat the vegetables, coat the aromatics with the tomato product. If you have tomato paste, you might have to do this a little bit more because the tomato paste is thicker and you want it to be all mushed up, technical term, in with the vegetables. Here I have 1 roasted chicken carcass. I've chopped it up into about 1 inch square pieces. I'm going to toss those around in there too. And then lastly, I have 10 egg whites that I have frothed. They don't have to be beaten. The goal here is not to aerate the egg whites, to incorporate air. The goal is to break the egg whites up so that they are not holding on to themselves. You want them to be more liquidy, and what we want here is for the egg whites to coat all of the vegetables. Some recipes will instruct you to put the egg whites into your cold chicken or veal stock, but I prefer to put the egg whites in and make sure that all of the things in my bowl here are coated with the egg whites. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring over our cold stock. I can't stress cold enough. It must be cold. It can't be hot stock. I'm going to put the stock into the cooking pot. This is 6 quarts of stock. The stock has to be cold because when you put this mixture in it, you don't want the stock to immediately cook the eggs. The egg whites need to be cooked slowly and gradually, and as they cook, they rise up from the bottom of the pot and they form a raft. The point of this raft is to clarify the stock. I did degrease my stock as well as I could. It was chilled overnight, so I scooped all the fat off the top. I don't want fat in my consomme, but still, even though it's a good quality stock and not very cloudy, it's not clear. And so the egg whites, as they cook, will lift the impurities up out of the stock and bring them up with the raft. So I'm going to put this mixture in the cold stock. And now we're going to go over to the stove. We've moved our pot over to the stove and I've put it on relatively high heat. It has now been about 15 minutes and I can see that the soup has begun to simmer. The raft has formed. It's clearly, the clear egg whites have turned white. They're visibly white. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to poke a hole over in the side of the raft, because I want simmering bubbles to only come up in one area of the raft so as not to agitate the raft and break it. I'm going to clear a hole in the raft with the handle of a wooden spoon, and then I'm going to use a small ladle, and I am going to dip out any bits of raft or bits of vegetables that come up in this hole. I am also going to dip up some of the soup that's underneath and baste the top of the raft. I do that so that the raft cooks from the top as well as the bottom. This adds stability to the raft, and that's what we want. We want it to be very stable so that it doesn't break. Everything we do in creating consomme is devoted to having the raft be stable. This is not a difficult process. There's a lot of mystique around making a lovely consomme, but all it takes is an understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, and some patience and some attentiveness. So as I said, the simmer began about 15 minutes into it, and I immediately, as soon as I saw the simmer bubbles around the edge, I lowered it so that it would continue to simmer. So now I'm going to let this simmer for 45 minutes. I will never let it come above a simmer. It's simmering right now. It's exactly where I want it. I will check back every so often so that I make sure that it's neither too low nor too high. Our consomme has been simmering for 45 to 50 minutes. So at this point, we're ready to strain it. In order to strain it and get as much out of it as possible, we're going to use the following system. We've got a bain-marie, and then I have 2 fine mesh chinois. I've got one chinois, one large coffee filter, and another chinois that keeps that coffee filter in place. So the larger particles will be caught by the first chinois, and the smaller particles will be caught by the coffee filter. So I've still got my small hole that I was allowing the simmer bubbles to come up through. So now I'm going to gently make the hole larger so that I can fit in a larger ladle. I'm going to ladle this soup out from underneath the raft. You never want to pour a consomme. Everything you do is geared to not disturb the raft. So ladleful by ladleful. It's okay if some particles of the raft or some vegetables come up with it, but most of the raft will remain intact and will just sink down as the level of the liquid goes down. The raft will sink down to the bottom of the pot. In the event that your consomme does boil and your raft breaks, all is not lost. You won't be able to serve the consomme right away. You can put the consomme in the blast chiller to quickly chill it down, It has to be cold. Then you can add another 10 whipped egg whites only and bring the consomme back up to a simmer. Let the raft form again, and then ladle that clarified consomme out of the pot. In that way, the egg white raft will lift whatever pieces of broken raft and any little fine particles out of your consomme, and then you'll be able to serve that consomme, and it should be perfectly clear. All right, now we have our clarified consomme. The last thing that it needs is salt, white pepper. You don't want little pieces of black pepper floating around in your beautiful clear consomme. Go easy on the white pepper. You can always add more, but you can't take it out. And white pepper is a lot more forceful than black pepper. And then you want a couple of good hits of dry sherry. Or salt. Consomme is served generally with garnishes of all sorts, from diced custards to diced tomatoes for a consomme madeleine. Consomme madeleine is made with additional tomato products, sun-dried tomatoes, a little bit more, maybe more tomato paste instead of I used whole peeled tomatoes. Great. So once you can taste all of your seasonings, your flavoring items, salt, a little bit of pepper, sherry, then you're good to go. Tortellini, julienne vegetables, quenelles of chicken, whatever you want to put in as small garnishes. This is not a soup that's eaten as a meal. This is a starter. This was traditionally the soup of the elite classes, the wealthy classes, because lower classes couldn't afford to take the hearty, stomach-filling items, the vegetables and the meats, out of their soup. Their soup was for nourishment. This is nourishing, don't get me wrong. This is a great thing to eat prior to a meal, prior to lunch, prior to dinner, as a way to sort of reduce your appetite, but it's also just delicious on its own. It's one of my favorite things. And once you learn to make it, it's easy. You can see that everything we've done here is simple. You just have to watch it. You have to understand what you're doing, be patient, keep an eye on it. Thanks for watching, and good luck when you make your consomme.